Hello, brains. If you saw our video last week, I talked about how to have a great time at a social event. Wrong answers only. Pretty funny. Not a ton of useful information there, but I just thought, solidarity. We know we're not alone. Let's talk about strategies. Let's talk about how to actually have a great time at a social event. For this one, we asked you, the community, what you do to actually have a good time at a social event. I have not seen these yet. My team curated them. I'm very excited to see what you got. So do some social pre-planning. Who will be there? Will there be people I know? If so, what is something big in their life I can ask about? If not, what is something I can ask anyone to get them talking so I don't have to keep thinking of things to say? Yeah, it seems obvious, but it wasn't to me when I first learned, you should plan for going to a social event like you would plan for any event. I'm like, yeah, if I'm going to go give a talk to a company, I'm going to research the company. Who am I speaking to? I'm going to do some preparation. I'm going to make sure that I sleep well the night before, if at all possible. I'm going to make sure that I eat or have a snack ahead of time. But I show up at social events just thinking, I don't know, just expecting it to go well without doing any planning. It does not for me, full disclosure. Caroline talks about this in her new book, and I really love it. Have a list of topics that are safe topics to talk about. That way, they're things that are not boring to you, but you're not going to dive right into tell me about your traumatic childhood, right? I have my go-to topics, but they're often a bit heavy for a social situation. So having a list of things that are more small talk, but small talk I would be actually interested in talking about is a really good idea. Knowing the general location and venue layout and nearby places in and outside of where an event is taking place is super key to not get too overstimulated. Yeah, this is something you can do in advance. And I've even done this for friends where they're like, hey, have you been to this place? What's it like? Or I have a friend that will just drop in to that location in Google Maps and look around to see what it looks like, to see what they can know. You can also call, if there's a venue, you can call a lot of the time and ask about the layout. Hey, there's a private event. It's being held at your restaurant. What room is it going to be in? How far are the restrooms from that room? You can ask these questions in advance too. Maybe it seemed like parking would be fine. Maybe it is not fine. You can know that you're going to need to allow some extra time for finding parking. Caroline McGuire suggests doing a lap. So there's some of this that can be done ahead of time, but then when you get there, you also can kind of figure out the lay of the land. So do a lap before you try and talk to anybody, before you do anything. Do a lap so that you know what the vibe is, what the layout is like, where the chips are, the bathroom, whatever it is. I also always have loops or music earplugs with me. Yeah, loops, if you guys don't know what those are, they help with noise cancellation. There's lots of different brands for this. Loops are one of them. You can also just use earplugs, but loops and others like it will let sound through and it just dims the noise. So a lot of people like those. I make sure I'm fed, hydrated, and rested. Yeah. Someone once told me, I thought this was really smart. If you were going to take a kid to a party, you would make sure that they were rested, that they've had their nap, that they've had a snack. You'd make sure that they had water or milk or whatever. Do the same for yourself. Set yourself up for success, just like you would set up a kid for success. Pre-gaming with snacks and water at home or even in your bag pockets. I love that so much. I love this idea of pre-gaming with things that are healthy for you. Forget the alcohol, snacks, water, whatever it is you need to function. Pre-game with that. I try to make sure I don't have any obligations the next day, so I'm not so worried about, okay, no, this is smart. Any obligations right now in my life is not realistic. If it is for you, then yeah, that's super smart. For me, it's not. But being able to plan my work so that I don't have any obligations that I'll be stressed about at an event is smart and something that I'm working on using Sansama, which is what I use to plan my day and my week of work. If you haven't heard me talk about Sansama yet, it's a very ADHD friendly way of planning your day or your week of work without burning out so that you can get stuff done that you care about without destroying yourself in the process. Sansama is super ADHD friendly. They don't require a credit card up front, so you can try it out and see if it's going to work for you before you have any sort of commitment. Or even accidental commitment financially. It walks you step by step through the planning process. So you can click on daily planning. They'll ask, what do you want to get done today? You can bring things over right from your calendar. You can decide what time you want to be done with work. That varies a lot for me, what time I need to be done with work. So you can set that day by day. You can fill in the tasks that you want to do that day. It'll caution you when there's an unrealistic workload and when you might need to defer tasks to tomorrow. Sometimes I'm able to get even more done. Sometimes even the realistic workload is something that I have a hard time getting through. So now they have a new feature that I really love. You can now set priorities for your tasks. So I can say, okay, make a reservation for Scenic Beach State Park. Yeah, I would like to do that today. low priority. There's nothing urgent about that. Sign the waiver Dusty sent for the ADHD retreat. Love you, Dusty. You're probably still going to allow me to go on the retreat if I don't sign it until I get there. I'm not going to disrespect you and make it low priority. I'm going to call that normal. This is a priority. I wouldn't call it urgent, but this is an important person to meet with. Cancel YMCA. Right now it's a low priority. It won't re-up immediately. So then setting the priorities here will help Sansama help me plan my day. It bumped down the sign the waiver a little bit, make a reservation is now the last thing before my daily shutdown. So if I don't get to those things, that's okay. I'll be able to go and enjoy my event because I know that the really important things, the really urgent things got taken care of. Those tasks are going to get bumped to the next day, which is great because that means that tomorrow is going to be more of a lower priority task day, which is wonderful if I've just gone to an event the night before, because now if I'm not 100%, if I'm not at my best and I'm not able to get the low priority tasks done, they're low priority. It's okay. Document your daily plan. Here's what's planned for the day. Here are the obstacles. This is all really helpful for me personally, just as like a quick reality check. Great. This is what I'm going to do. This is my plan. What's in my way? Oh, I didn't really think about that. But yes, I do have some obstacles in my way today. I forgot to take my meds. Sama is a super, super ADHD friendly way of planning your day. I love that it gives me just enough support with planning my day to feel supportive without replacing my efforts. I still feel like I'm in control of the plan. I am planning my work. I am planning my day, but I'm not having to do every tedious thing. Sansama is a regular partner of ours. We love working with them. They've been very supportive of this channel. So by supporting them, you're also supporting us. And we also have a great relationship with them. So if there's any features that you like, that you love, that you would like to see, let us know in the comments below and we will pass that along. If you'd like to try Sansama for yourself, you can get 30 days free. Again, don't have to put a credit card up front. See if you like it. Go to sansama.com/a/Jessica from How to ADHD and let me know what you think. Because I think we all deserve to do work we feel good about without burning out and get to go to social events and not have to worry about what we didn't get done. Pay attention to my capacity and leave before I am drained, just like you said in a previous video. Yes, thank you for reminding me. I am learning this. I have a habit of staying until I'm like, oh no, I'm hitting a wall. I absolutely need to be done right now. And then I don't have like all the social graces to get out gracefully. So yeah, one of the things I'm learning to do too is to leave while I could still be there instead of waiting until I absolutely am done, like need to go right this second now. Because it turns out like leaving an event takes cognitive energy too. It takes emotional energy as well. And you also might get stopped by people on the way out. So when possible, I'm trying to stop when I get to orange, not when I'm almost at red. Make a recharge plan. Is there somewhere I can get a breather by myself, even if it's just the bathroom? Yeah, that's a really good one. Sometimes we're not ready to leave the party, right? We're not ready to go out completely, but we just need a break. A lot of times there's not an easy or obvious place to do that, but the bathroom is one. At any event, there's probably going to be a bathroom of some variety. That can be a good place to get a breather if there's nowhere else, if there's no, I don't know, sensory-friendly, quiet room, which I think every event should have. I go find the cat. Aww. Yeah, that's a good strategy. A lot of us are more comfortable with animals than we are with humans, especially more comfortable with animals we don't know as opposed to people we don't know. So going to find, say, I would even expand it beyond the cat, the dog, the bird, the friendly looking human. Like find somebody or something to break the ice with that is not going to be as intimidating to interact with is a really good idea. I drink something. Soda, coffee, water, doesn't really matter as long as it changes my baseline in some way and gives me something to hold. My awkwardness at social events is when I don't know what to do with my hands. So that's smart. Know my limits. I'm not very good in large crowds, so I tend to go to events that are less crowded. When something gets too crowded or I'm uncomfortable, I will try to leave earlier or find a small group of people who are more approachable. Yeah, okay. There are times when it makes sense to try to expand our window of tolerance and push ourselves out of our comfort zone a little bit. But if we're already outside our comfort zone because there's a lot more people than we're used to, or we're feeling uncomfortable for some reason, or we didn't sleep well, we're not on our meds, whatever the situation is, then that's not the time to push ourselves further, maybe. That's a time to like, okay, there's something about this that is already uncomfortable for me. Let me put myself in a situation that is more comfortable. Let me stay in my comfort zone while I'm uncomfortable. Makes sense. I allow myself to stop performing. This one's gonna hit. All right. I feel called out. Okay. I allow myself to stop performing. My life is performing. My job, my hobbies. Sometimes I find myself in social settings performing as well. Issue is, it's exhausting. So I let myself stop talking. I don't contribute to the flow for like a minute just so I can breathe. I think we all want to make a good impression and do a good job at whatever we're doing. Is that just me? I don't think it's just me. I go into social situations personally, like wanting to contribute and wanting to help other people have a good time and like wanting to be the version of me that people expect me to be. Over time, I've gotten really good at getting comfortable unmasking my ADHD and being ADHD, but I think I still will perform in other ways. Like I still want to show somebody a good time. I still want to make sure that I'm contributing to the conversation and that what I'm saying is interesting to the other person. But I like this idea of giving yourself permission not to. I also really like the recognition that maybe taking a break from the thing that you're always doing makes sense. I guess like my personal version for this a lot of the time is if somebody starts talking about ADHD at a party, I don't have to educate. I do that all of the time for my job, and getting a break from it is nice. Whoever wrote this comment, thank you. When I was in college at house parties and it got to the point there were no clean glasses, I would wash the dishes. Looking back, I realized it was actually a way to get a break from socializing and reset myself. Very helpful and very practical. Great tip, great strategy. It relates to another strategy that I use a lot, which is have a role. I feel way more comfortable at a social event if I have a role, if I know what my role is. So if I'm bringing my kid, then my role is mom. I'm going to be a mom, make sure that my kid is okay. If not, like if I'm hosting, then my role is host, right? But you can also go to a friend's party and be like, okay, my role is I'm going to be the person who helps with dishes, or I'm going to be the one to go up to people if they look like they don't know who to talk to. Like I'll go talk to that person and help them feel included. For me, it helps to have an exit plan. And I don't mean just the social battery aspect, but the logistical aspect. I don't drive, so since I'm relying on public transport or someone else driving me, it usually makes me feel better to plan ahead for when and how I will get back home. Oh, I really like that, both in terms of planning ahead, because then you're not having to figure it out as you're already in the social event where it might be harder to think straight and like look up bus schedules or whatever. But I also like it for just the psychological safety of I am not going to be stuck at this party. I have a way home. I know what that way home is. I know what it looks like. I did this recently. It wasn't a social event, but my daughter and I took a water taxi over to the aquarium and we had like just a mommy and me day. And at some point, I realized I was getting anxious about how we're going to get home and what is the ferry schedule and are we going to make it back in time and all of that. My phone was dead. That probably didn't help. But I just asked somebody that worked at the little shop where we were eating mac and cheese. And I was like, hey, can you look up the ferry schedule for me? And it's not that I had to take like an exact ferry, just knowing what times the ferries were happening made me feel better. It made me feel like, okay, now I can relax and enjoy this instead of worrying about like, am I going to get there with half an hour before the ferry comes or 10 minutes? Or am I going to miss, is there another ferry? Like I was able to tame the anxiety over like, how are we getting home by doing that? So that makes sense. I'm a fan of the Irish goodbye or abruptly leaving. I honestly start to treat leaving like ripping off a Band-Aid. Yeah, I guess there's nothing that says you have to say goodbye to everybody that you talk to at a party. You could just go. Honestly, if that makes it so that you can enjoy the event more, that makes sense. If people don't know you, they're probably not going to be offended. And if they do know you, they probably know this about you and won't get offended. Something that people have done with my events that I really appreciate because rejection sensitivity, they will leave and then they will text me and be like, hey, I did the Irish goodbye thing. Anyway, great seeing you or whatever. And that way I'm not like, oh no, did I do something wrong? Did I make them mad? When did they leave? I feel bad for not noticing that they left. Should I have said goodbye? Were they trying to say goodbye to me and I missed it? Do they hate me now? Did I say the wrong thing? Like, it helps. So if you are going to do an Irish goodbye and you know the hosts of a party, then yeah, just text them and be like, yeah, I did the Irish goodbye. I almost always drive myself, so I have control of arrival. It's not easy to be on time and departure. Driving yourself, even if somebody else is driving or could drive you, is smart. Even my partner and I will sometimes do that, even though we're coming from the same place and going to the same place. If we drive separate cars, then if he's still having fun, I can leave. I don't have to feel guilty or pressured to stay just because he wants to stay. I can leave when I need to leave. Smart. There's a theme here. I'm seeing a theme, which is knowing how you're going to get out so that it doesn't feel like you're just stuck there, right? So like having your own car, being able to do the Irish exit thing, knowing what the bus schedule is or the water taxi schedule or whatever it is so that you know how to get back. You know what it is? I think there were so many times that as a kid, I was stuck at an event that I no longer wanted to be at if I ever wanted to be there at the first place. And there was nothing I could do about it. That having the knowledge and the certainty that there is something I can do about it is really helpful. Be the third to last person to leave. That's very specific. More of a practical thing, but it helps anxiety to know when it's right to dip out. Oh, that's interesting. Okay, so not everybody has a great ability to tell when they're done, when they're at orange, when it's time to go. I like this because it's very concrete and external. And it doesn't mean that you have to wait until you are the third to last person there, but having a clear, okay, if nothing else, when there's a couple other people left, like that's when I will leave. That's smart. Don't come in with big expectations. Hopefully you'll have a good time, but don't be bummed if you can't get whatever you expected from that event. It took me way too long to internalize this lesson personally. That's a good point. I mean, honestly, at some point it's a numbers game, right? Like if you go to enough events, some of them will be fun. It doesn't mean every single one has to be fun and that it's a waste of time if it wasn't. You can't know in advance which ones will be fun, probably. I like that. Just don't come in with big expectations. I feel like I need to go get invited to a party. I feel like I've got some good strategies here. Some of these strategies I already knew about. Some of these were new to me. Some of them, I just felt called out. So hopefully you got something out of this. If you have an event coming up, maybe try a few of these. And let us know in the comments below, what are your strategies for having a great time at a social event? Are there any that we missed? Are there any that like blew your mind that you want to make sure other people see? Because a lot of times people don't even finish watching the video. They read the comments. So share those in the comments below. And thank you to our brain advocates and all our Patreon brains for supporting the work that we do, because all of us deserve to work with our brains, not against them, and have good strategies in our pockets for living the life that we want to live. That's it for this week. Like, subscribe, click all the things, and I will see you next video. Bye, brains.